Hello, I am bringing an Omni Hunter build today. This is a general all purpose build that all levels of players can use, and as such, it has some exotics that require expansions that can make it comfortable, but it can also work just as well with some exotics that don't. So, to go over the build, here is what it looks like. As you can see, I have an Assassin's Cowl from Shadowkeep, which you generally see on Arc builds, but I'm on Solar. As you can also see, I have Deterministic Chaos, which most people associate with Void builds, and there's been a lot of controversy over it. The general purpose and reason for this build is for you to be able to 1. Apply Radiant to your team to buff their damage and heal them, and 2. To weaken your enemies to increase your team's damage while also staying alive and providing certain benefits. So, first off, let's go over our abilities. I have Gambler's Dodge and Knife Trick here, which is a general staple combo for any solar build. You throw 3 knives, it's harder for you to miss, and you apply Scorch stacks, which feed into your fragments. And if you miss a knife, you have your Gambler's Dodge, so you can get your knives back. For the jump, I'm using Triple Jump. I honestly love Triple Jump. It just gives you so much more maneuverability for certain jumping puzzles and just in general. And then I'm running Healing Grenade, so you can apply Restoration and Cure to yourself and your allies, which will also feed into your fragments there. For the first aspect, we have Knock 'em Down, which has 2 fragment slots. Your solar supers are enhanced. As you can see, I'm running Blade Barrage, so it'll get more projectiles and do more damage. And also, while Radiant, final blows with your throwing knife fully refund your melee energy. Basically, throw knife, kill enemy, throw knife, kill enemy. On your mark here has 3 fragment slots, which is really important. Precision final blows grant you and nearby allies increased weapon handling and reload speed for a short duration. Stacks 3 times. Activating your class ability immediately grants maximum stacks of on your mark. Now, I'm not going to lie, I am absolutely terrible at getting precision final blows on anything, even with a trace rifle. So, the main purpose of this is to use the dodge to grant maximum stacks to increase your weapon handling, but more importantly, your reload speed as well. You know, everybody's using rockets this season. The more reload speed you can give them, the better. Now, going over the fragments. First off, we have Ember of Torches, which honestly should be on any build you run solar for a hunter. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. Important note, this procs on any powered melee attacks, not just kills. Even if you're facing a boss, you throw your knife at them, you and everyone near you becomes radiant, which feeds into your knives and your knock 'em down aspect. Number 2, Ember is Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. You can proc this by using your knives. Anytime you get a knife kill, it will create a fire sprite, which will feed into your next aspect there and fragment, and it will increase your melee energy. This also procs on any guns that have incandescent. When you get kills, you can collect those to get your melee back faster if you ever somehow manage to miss twice with your knife, your dodge, and your knife. The next one here is Ember of Mercy. When you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration. And when you pick up a fire sprite created by your knives or just Scorch in general, that will also grant restoration. Next, we have Ember Singeing. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets with incandescent and with your knives. And that just feeds into this gameplay loop of throwing your knives, dodging to get them back. And then lastly, I chose to go with Ember of Benevolence since you will primarily be running this build with a fire team. You have 2 different ways to apply Restoration and Cure with your grenade or Radiant with your knives to just in general increase all of your grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration for a short duration. What this means is generally when you go into a boss fight, While you are doing your part, you will generally be able to get your grenade back once or twice, and you can throw your knives basically for the entire boss fight to keep your whole team's damage up. Those are our abilities, our aspects, and our fragments. Moving on to the weapons here, there's two different loadouts, but my exotic stays the same. Now I'm going to start with the exotic. I know there's a lot of controversy, okay? This is deterministic chaos. You get this from a quest. To my knowledge, this quest is not locked behind an expansion unless you need to purchase whatever expansion you get the Garden of Salvation raid from. If so, I'm sorry, I just don't have that knowledge. But what this does is, while holding down the trigger, every fourth heavy metal projectile makes targets volatile, and every fourth bullet is a heavy projectile. What this means is every fourth bullet weakens the target, every 16th bullet creates a volatile explosion on one target. It does not make all the targets volatile, just the one that you hit. That is a downside. Okay. Normally, you would want to run this with something that you can use to create volatile. However, volatile in general, the thing that makes things go purple and boom, has a cooldown. So running things like Gyrofalcon's Halberg or the Aspect and Void that gives your weapons volatile after you use a grenade doesn't really synergize well. So I want to make this very clear. This is a support weapon, not a DPS weapon. This does the same amount of debuff as Divinity, 15%. It is every fourth bullet while you're holding down the trigger. This will primarily be for boss fights and for champions. The main reason why you would want to run this over Divinity is this. One, when you're using Divinity, your damage is completely garbage. You can run surge mods to make it better. It creates a crit spot, which is helpful for your allies, and it can take care of overload champions. But the amount of time and ammo you spend doing so can be absolutely terrible, and it's not really worth using in anything other than a raid or a dungeon boss fight where everyone is shooting the bubble. However, deterministic chaos, if you have never used it before, does around 10,000 to 11,000 damage a hit. And as everything will be weakened and you will have the radiant buff, it can go even higher. Yes, it takes up your exotic slot. Yes, there are other void LMGs. However, none of those void LMGs have the ability to weaken enemies while you are on a different subclass. And that is what makes this gun unique. And that is why I'm using it. Not for the debuff specifically, but for the combination of the debuff plus the subclass. Yes, you can use a lot of different things to make things go volatile or weaken with the void subclass, but there's not a single gun in this game, to my knowledge, that can take a void hunter and give radiant to your allies. And as this is a general all-purpose build, it can do both. So, sorry for the long-winded explanation. I just figured I would go into a lot of detail about that, as that's the most important aspect of this build. For the special weapons, we have two different special weapons here. As you can see, I do have a Demolitionist Incandescent Submachine Gun from the new dungeon. Great. I have a new Pacific Epitaph Wave Frame Grenade Launcher from the dungeon. Great. I wish it had auto-loading, but lead from gold is just as good. This setup right here with the grenade launcher, the trace rifle, and deterministic chaos is an add clear mechanic build. You can use your trace rifle in places like Spire and other places where you need to shoot certain things. You can use it to spread Scorch, and it can all around be used as a good special weapon. The wave frame, if you guys have never used a wave frame before, is an absolute beast. Anything in a straight line for a certain distance from you takes damage no matter how many enemies there are. The higher the density, doesn't matter. It hits all of them. And this comes with the new perk Collective Action. Anytime you collect an elemental pickup, it grants a stacking period of increased damage. This increases fire sprites, which you get by killing scorched enemies with your knife or with your weapon. It also has the Restoration Ritual origin trait, which says if you revive allies or defeat combatants with finishers, you reload this weapon and you get an emergency reload. What this means is you can provide a couple different things here. One, you can get an enemy down with your trace rifle, do a finisher, switch to your grenade launcher while you're in the finisher, and you now have 2 grenades prepped and ready to shoot on the ground and do a lot of damage. You can also pick up a fire sprite either before or after, and both of those grenades will have buff damage, which in general is doing around 35,000 to 40,000 damage to everything in a straight line. I save Deterministic Chaos for if I need more special ammo or if I'm dealing with a champion or a boss. If you don't know, there is a hidden mechanic where if you have 2 special weapons equipped, the game will drop you more heavy bricks as there is no primary weapon in either of your slots. And if you are not familiar, if you need heavy ammo, use your special weapons. If you need special ammo, use your heavy weapon. The other setup here is a more support focused build, less ad clear, but you use your no survivors here. You get the scored stacks, you're doing damage, you're getting your grenade back. When you shoot your grenade, you're reloading your gun. When you're getting finishers, you're also getting an instant second magazine. So you can basically keep this uptime permanently between your grenades and finishers. And then I just use Pardon Our Dust, which is a grenade launcher that comes with auto loading and disorienting grenades to blind champions and enemies in general. This is more focused on just support gameplay. You're getting finishers, you're spreading scorch stacks so you can get your dodge back faster. You can use your grenade faster to keep your team healed, and you're just blinding the larger targets. You could theoretically use something like this or any combination of weapons you feel like, but that's just what I prefer. Moving on to the exotic armor slots here. I use Assassin's Cowl. The reason why I use Assassin's Cowl is because, as a Solar Hunter, I will be throwing a lot of knives, and every knife kill will heal me, which is almost a full heal, and make me invisible, which is definitely good for survivability, as well as all the finishers that I will be doing. For my weapons here, I'm going to be doing finishes anyways. I might as well give myself a full heal and make myself invisible while doing them. You can also use Aeon Swift to create more ammo for your team, heavy bricks and special bricks. You can also do something like speed loader slacks, where every time you dodge, you give your team more reload, handling, and airborne effectiveness for you and nearby allies. And if you haven't realized the combo yet, you use your dodge, which grants you full stacks of on your mark to increase your reload speed, and stacks of speed loader, which increases your reload speed even more. This is very helpful in this meta that we have where everybody's using rockets, using LMGs. The more reload speed they have, the better. So that would be very beneficial. However, I just like Assassin's Cowl for the survivability. Now, on to our mods here. And here is a breakdown if you want to see my mods. A lot of this can be changed if you want. Don't mind the stats. I was just trying to go for double hundreds and resilience, so I take the least amount of damage as possible, and discipline so I can get my heal and my grenade back as much as possible as well. On my Assassin's Cowl, I have Heavy Ammo Finder and Heavy Ammo Scout and Stasis Siphon. I have Stasis Siphon because I'm using the Waveframe grenade launcher primarily for my ad clear. If I am using the other setup where I use the submachine gun, I would switch that to harmonic or solar siphon so I can create orbs of power. What this does is it lets me, on top of healing and giving my team radiant, create more heavy bricks so they can basically recover after a boss fight or just in general maintain their heavy stacks. On top of this, I am running special finisher on my cape as I will be doing a lot of finishers in general. This will also be creating a lot of special ammo bricks for me and all of my allies. So I am upkeeping both their special ammo and their heavy ammo. I also have 2 copies of Bomber, reduces my grenade cooldown when I'm using my class ability. I will be using my class ability a lot because I'm bad at throwing knives apparently, and it helps to get your knife back. And when you throw your grenade or you use your knives, you are increasing your regeneration anyways. This just helps. On my arms here, I have 2 copies of Impact Induction because I will be throwing my melee a lot, my knives. That will also help decrease the cooldown of my grenade, and they will also create orbs of power. So now, whenever I throw my knives and kill an enemy, I'm creating orbs of power. Whenever I'm using the waveframe grenade launcher to add clear, I'm creating orbs of power. And whenever I'm doing finishers or dodging, I'm getting my grenade back and creating ammo for the entire team. On the chest piece, I chose to just go with resistance mods here. You could theoretically do ammo reserves so you can just spam your weapons all you want, but I prefer this for survivability. On my legs here, I have recuperation, replenishes your health each time you pick up an orb of power, which is great. There is a mod that you could use to help out. Uh, where is it at? Down here. Automatically collects nearby orbs of power when you activate your class ability. You could use that if you wanted to help heal yourself, but in this case, I chose to get more reserves for my waveframe grenade launcher since I will be using it a lot. And I also use Void Holster. The reason why I'm using Void Holster is this. Deterministic Chaos only comes with 48 bullets in the magazine, which basically means you need to reload a lot. It sucks. It's slow. I don't like it. This is my answer to that. I shoot it. I go through the entire magazine. Everything's weakened. Champions will usually be killed or finishable by the time you're through your magazine. Bosses will not. But I can put that away, switch to my other weapons for a bit, use them to add, clear, and create more orbs and create more ammo, and then switch back to my deterministic chaos and it will be ready to use again. Its primary use is to use on champions and bosses as a support tool to increase your allies' damage, in addition to the buff that you're giving them to both their reload speed and their damage with your radiant and with your stacks of on your mark. There is the armor. Same mod would work with any setup. If you use Aeons, you're going to be creating basically double the ammo you would anyways. If you use Speed Loader, you're just going to be buffing the reload speed out the wazoo. Again, I chose Assassin's Call because in a lot of in-game content, things hurt a lot. My grenade is not enough. I prefer to have as much healing and invisibility as possible. And there you have it. That is the build. Just to recap here, what this build does is it gives your allies healing, it gives your allies radiant to buff their damage, it gives your allies increased reload speed so they can shoot their weapons faster, it applies scorch stacks, which can help add clear, and also increases your reload speed. It increases all of your ability regeneration when you are using your abilities near allies. And you have deterministic chaos, which applies weaken, which is the primary focus. We're not worried about volatile. You can basically breathe on a lot of enemies in this game and they'll topple over. While making things go big boom, look purple is nice, it is not necessary. This is mainly for the weekend. Also, are you really going to pull out a divinity when you're in the middle of something like a Vanguard strike or something like that on a champion? Probably not. As you can tell, most people only bring it out if they're doing a raid boss. So this is a general all-purpose content. This can be taken into almost any activity in the game, and it will function just as well by yourself and with allies. This is my Omni Hunter build. If you want to try it out, I don't have a dim link because I don't use dim, but you can copy what you see on the screen. I'll leave this here while I'm finishing up so you can copy the mods. And yeah, throw a lot of knives, go invisible, heal yourself, throw grenades, throw more knives, shoot stuff, do finishers, create all your team's ammo, heal your team, buff your team's damage, kill the enemies, get the highest score anyways because you have a really high damaging super and you will out damage everybody else in your fire team anyways unless they are a warlock. And yeah, enjoy. I'm not going to talk about the artifact mods. As you can tell, I have artifact mods for Void. Picking up Void Breach causes your next source of Void damage to create large weakening pulse. We're already weakened anyways, we don't care about that. Picking up a Void Breach gives you an overshield. Okay, so does our Assassin's Cowl. Picking up a Void debuff target creates a Void Breach while your Void subclass is equipped. We don't have the Void subclass equipped, so it doesn't really matter. And Solar is not on the seasonal artifact, so this is going to work just as well in any season that you play. Thank you again for watching. If you did, like this video and get something useful out of it. Feel free to leave a like, share it. If you see this build and you decide to copy it, do me some justice. Let them know. Also, please make your Guardian look good while you're doing the video. Thank you very much. I'm tired of seeing the same RGB shader Dungeon of the Ghost deep armor sets while listening to people's videos. And yeah, if you have any advice, comments, if you want to talk crap about this and how it's worse than all the other Void LMGs in the game, be my guest. If you have any suggestions how to make this better as a support build, be my guest. Let me know in the comments below. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.